The topic we're going to talk about today, which, as you read on the sign, is does Torah and Sinai have to be proven, is really a very broad topic. We're not going to be able to accomplish everything here. We'll try to give some of the main points about it. And I'd like to start off. The Mishnah in Avos says, the first Mishnah in Avos, the famous Mishnah in Avos says, Moshe kibel Torah b'Sinai, Masar Yeshua, Yeshua l'Zakanim. Moshe Rabbeinu got the Torah b'Sinai and he gave it over to Yeshua and he gave it over to the elders from generation to generation. Now there's a question, we all seen the Mishnah and so many times, there's one question that stands out, which a lot of people doesn't bother them in the beginning. When you look around, it's a funny statement. Moshe kibel Torah b'Sinai. Moshe got the Torah from where? From Sinai? Moshe got it from Hashem. The Torah was given from Hashem. Moshe kibel Torah v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. From Hashem he got the Torah. Why does it say Moshe kibel Torah m'Sinai? Why does it say Moshe got the Torah from Sinai? What's Sinai? So the Mefarshim and the Mishnah try to explain. They say it's the one who was on Har Sinai, which means Hashem. But there's another pshat why it says Moshe kibel Torah m'Sinai, and we'll get to it soon. But before we go into that, I'd like to start with Hagdama, with the preface of really a different part, not Kabbalas HaTorah, but Emunah. And from there we'll go into Kabbalas HaTorah. If you look into the topic of Emunah, belief in Hashem, we see there's a little bit of a contradiction in the Achronim of how to go about it. There's a famous Rabbi Chanan in Chayvus Ha'aretz. Rabbi Chanan writes, it's at the end of the Chayvus Ha'aretz, and he writes, he says, we're saying davening every day, but the surah achre levavchem v'achre einechem, you shouldn't go after your hearts and after your eyes. And the Gemara dashes, but the surah achre levavchem, you shouldn't go after your heart. Zum minus. This is someone who doesn't believe in Hashem. That's what the Gemara dashes. The Gemara says, levavchem achre levavchem zum minus. Ask Rabbi Chanan a very famous question: why do we say levavchem zum minus? If someone wants to be an apikoros, who wants to deny that God exists, where does it come from? The head, the seichel. You have to think about it. So why do we say if it's a surah achre levavchem, you shouldn't go after your heart? That is minus. That is denying the existence of Hashem. So Rabbi Chanan writes that all the mitzvahs in the Torah, when a boy becomes a bar mitzvah, he's obligated to do all the mitzvahs that it says in the Torah. And the question is, ask Rabbi Chanan, that we know that Emunah, believing in Hashem, great minds were mistaken in the belief of Hashem. Rabbi Chanan writes that Aristotle, the Rambam writes about it, he was such a big chacham, he was so smart, he was just under the level of Nevuah. And we know that he made that mistake and he denied the existence of Hashem. So how do you expect a boy, when he turns 13, he's a little kid, and he's mechuyev, he has to do all the mitzvahs of the Torah, and he has to believe that Hashem exists? How do you expect it from a kid? If great minds made the mistake. So Rabbi Chanan writes that the truth is, if you look around the world and you see what's going on, you see the universe, it's impossible to say that it happened by itself. You have to believe that there's some type of koyach, some type of whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, there's someone who created it. It didn't just happen by itself. What that is, we say Hashem. We believe Hashem created the world. To say it happened by itself, that no one did it, he says the lashon of Rabbi Chanan is you have to be a shaitan, you have to be stupid to believe that it happened by itself. So he says, so why do people try to deny the existence of Hashem? Says Rabbi Chanan, because when you have great minds and people who are very smart and they figure out a lot of things, it's very hard for them to accept that there's someone who's greater than they are. There is something greater than they are. A very powerful person thinks that he's the most powerful, and there's nothing more powerful than him. So he says, when you have such great minds, such great chachamim, and you have someone like Aristotle who is so great and so smart, it's hard for him to accept that there's someone above him and someone more powerful and stronger than he is. So he says, that does not come from the seichel. To deny that there's someone greater than you doesn't come from the seichel. That comes from the heart. It's called shoicha, it's called bribery. Meaning that the Yetzer Hara doesn't let you believe that there's something greater than you are. So that's why people like that end up denying the existence of Hashem, because they don't want to accept the fact that someone's greater than them. But a simple person, who wants to believe that Hashem created the world, you look around and you see in a second that Hashem created the world. That's what B'chanan says. But, on the other hand, we see from the Achronim, the Sefer called Mishnas Chachamim from Moshe Chagiz, who lived a couple hundred years ago, that he writes that when he was a kid, every time he went to bed at night, he said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And his mother made him put his hand on his eyes and say, when you say Shema, you cover your eyes. And he says to himself when he was a kid, he writes in the Sefer, that when I was a kid, I had no idea what my mother wanted from me. To cover my eyes? Saying Shema Yisrael, why cover their eyes? And he says when I got older, I'm talking about Moshe Chagiz, who was a very big Talmud Chacham, and he wrote a lot of Svarim. He says, when I got older, I understood what my mother was trying to tell me. What was she trying to tell me? That when he's saying Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, he's saying those words that Hashem is the only one. You have to cover your eyes. Why? Because you can't go further. You can't try to look further and figure out if Hashem really exists or not. You have to accept it the way it is, because if you're going to look and you're going to try to delve into things, you're going to have questions and you're not going to understand it. That's what Moshe Chagiz writes. So you cover your eyes when you say Shema Yisrael. Why? Because it's impossible to come to the true Amunah of Hashem, to believe in Hashem, without accepting it the way it is, because it's so deep and it's so hard to understand. So we have a little contradiction. We have a B'chanan writes that it's so simple, every kid could understand it. And we have for a Moshe Chagiz that he writes that it's so deep and it's so hard to accept it, to understand, that the only way a person can really believe in Hashem is if he accepts it the way it is, without asking any questions. We have a steer here. How do we answer this contradiction? So the truth is that when it comes time to Amunah of Hashem, there's two parts. There's one part that we all believe Hashem created the world. And like Rabbi Chanan says, if you don't believe it, it must be because you're trying not to believe it. You have a reason why you don't want to believe it. But then there's another part, which Moshe Chagiz is speaking about, is that to see Hashem in our daily lives. That means, a lot of times, we have questions. What's happening? We don't understand what's happening. So we have a choice. We can try to understand what's going on in the world. We can have questions. We can try to find answers. Or we could accept it. That's why Hashem wants it, and that's why Hashem is running the world. To go ahead and to say that I only believe in Hashem when I understand it, says Moshe Chagiz, that's why you have to cover your eyes. There are times you won't understand it. And if you don't understand it, and then you're going to say, if I don't understand it, it must be, it's not true, that already you can't do. And the biggest proof to this is that Avraham Avinu is the one who was Hikar as Bayrei. Avraham Avinu is the one who realized who Hashem is. And he spread it out, and that was Avraham Avinu's avodah, his job, was to go prove to everybody that Hashem exists. Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, his children, when they were born already, Avraham gave over to them that there's Hashem in the world, and He runs the world. They knew it from where? From Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu came to realization by himself that Hashem runs the world. I'll ask you a question. If you would have a choice, who to give tests to? Avraham Avinu had 10 nisyonos. Avraham Avinu had 10 tests. Hashem tested him if he really believes in Hashem. Who would you give the test to? Someone who came to realization by himself, he knows Hashem exists? Or would you give the test to someone who was given it over from his father to him, that Hashem runs the world? Him, maybe you should test. Do you really believe it or not? Why did Hashem give Avraham Avinu the tests and not to Yitzchak.
Well, Yitzchak was also tested in a sense.
Not in Amunah. Yitzchak had other tests, not in Amunah. Avraham Avinu's 10 tests were 10 tests of Amunah, belief in Hashem. That's already saying this. Were 10 tests of a belief in Hashem. Hashem made contradictions. That do this and then do that, and there was contradiction. So why was Avraham Avinu tested and not Yitzchak? Why wasn't Yitzchak tested if he just got it from his father? Avraham Avinu is the one who realized who Hashem is. Why wasn't Avraham Avinu tested? Yitzchak, I'm sorry. Why wasn't Yitzchak tested and Avraham Avinu was tested? The answer is that Hashem was showing Avraham Avinu, you're right, you came to the realization that I exist. But if you have to rely on yourself, proving it for yourself that you realize Hashem exists, I want to show you you're going to have questions. Hashem wanted to test Avraham if after he came to the belief because he realized it himself, is he going to stay with his belief after Hashem shows him that you're going to have questions? I'm going to do things you're not going to understand what I'm doing it for. Avraham Avinu, of course, he withstood everything. He withstood all the tendencies. Yitzchak, who was told Hashem exists without any proof, Hashem felt, I don't have to test Yitzchak. Because he knows it's there, no matter what happens, he'll accept it. That's what he was told by his father. Avraham Avinu gave it over to Yitzchak that Hashem exists. No matter what happens, he's constantly going to believe it, even though he may have some questions. You tell a kid, a table's a table. And then, kid goes up, you know that's a table. And then you start proving to him that's not really a table. They have questions to him, so they think you're crazy. I know a table's a table. The same thing with Emunah. When it comes time to believing in Hashem, if you're going to have questions, you're going to ask questions, and you're going to try to figure out what happened, it's not going to work. The Moshe Feinstein writes in Darish Moshe al Torah, it says in the Pasuk, "V'yizach ha'choshen mi'al ha'ephod." The choshen was sewn down to the ephod, and it didn't move. Why was that? Why was the choshen, the breastplate by the Kohen Gadol, sewn down to the apron, to the ephod, that it shouldn't move? Everything that's written in the Torah has a reason for it. Says in Moshe Feinstein that the ephod was a kapara, was meant to be there to forgive for the aveira of avodah zarah. That's what the Gemara says. The choshen was there to forgive for the aveira of mamonis. Dinei mamonis meaning bezdin, courts who give the wrong verdict when it comes time to mamonis, people who cheat each other in business. That's what the choshen was there for a kapara on. Says Rav Moshe, I'll read you his lashon inside, that a person who believes that if he cheats somebody in business and he'll make money off it, he believes that he made money, says Rav Moshe Feinstein, he's a kafir. Meaning he's going against, he's saying, I don't believe Hashem runs the world. Why? Hashem says everybody's going to get a certain amount of money. You're trying to cheat and make money a different way. Maybe now you got that money, but eventually you're going to lose it. So Moshe Feinstein writes that somebody who cheats in business, he's showing that he doesn't believe in Hashem. If someone does an aveira in mamonis, it must be that he's also nichshal, he also makes the mistake in kfira, and belief in Hashem. What's the Moshe saying over here? That if you really believe that Hashem exists, you won't go ahead and cheat somebody in business because it's the wrong thing to do, and you think you're gaining money, you're not really gaining money. What we see from this is that Amunah Hashem, we all believe Hashem exists. There's another step. Another step is, in our daily lives, everything we do, everything that happens to us, even though it's not exactly what we want, we still believe Hashem is there. And if something goes wrong, it's because Hashem wanted it that way. That part of Emunah, that's what Moshe Chagid says, sometimes you have to cover your eyes and say, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Because not every time will you understand what happened. There's a joke I heard, the famous Batkin, that was Yankel Miller. I heard he said a joke once, that there was once by the Sfardim, especially the ones in Eretz Yisrael, they have this real Emunah Pshuta, everything is Hashem, everything is Hashem. And he said a joke, and he said like this. He said there was once a Sephardi Yid who had to make chasana. He needed $10,000 for the chasana, and he wasn't getting it. So he went into the Rizal Shul in Tzfas. You know, there's a lot of steps to go up to the Aron Kodesh there. He walks up all the steps to the Aron Kodesh. He opens up the Aron Kodesh, and he davens to Hashem, and he says, Hashem, I need $10,000 to marry off my child. Please send it to me. And he finishes, and he closes the Aron Kodesh, and he gives the Parechus a big kiss, and he starts walking backwards down the steps of the Aron Kodesh. And as he's going down, he trips, and he falls down, and he breaks his foot. He gets up, and he says, Lo ratzeh, lo ratzeh. Al tetchof. Meaning, you don't want? Fine, don't push me. What is it? It's a joke, but it brings out a message. The message is that if he fell down the steps, there's a reason why it happened. Hashem did it for him. That type of emunah is the emunah that's, it's hard to get to. That level of emunah is hard to get to. But the truth is, if someone doesn't have any other reasons not to believe that way, he blames it on other people, other things. The Sfarim write, if someone has a real true emunah, he'll never get upset at somebody else. Why not? Because that's what Hashem wants. That emunah is very hard to get to, and that's what Moshe Chagir says, sometimes you have to cover your eyes. I think the biggest proof to this is, this is all speaking from the Sfarim. The realistic proof we have is, I had grandparents, 4 grandparents, who all went through the Holocaust. Now, a person who goes through such a thing, and loses the whole family, parents, children, brothers, sisters, and they come out, and what do they say? They're still Hashem. How is it possible for somebody, after so much pain and so much damage that happened to them physically and mentally, everything, to go out and say, there's an Hashem in the world. Hashem exists. The only way someone could do that is if their parents embedded in them an emunah that said Hashem runs the world no matter what happens. You can have lots of questions. Avraham Avinu had questions, had the things. Hashem said, the only way you're going to be able to continue having belief in Hashem is if even though you have questions, you're not going to change your belief. And the only way you can do that is to say that Hashem runs the world, this is the way it is, cover your eyes and accept it, even though there are questions. Now, I don't mean to say that a person is not allowed to try to understand what's going on. I don't mean to say a person is not allowed to ask questions and try to figure out what happened. But there's 2 ways of asking questions. One way of asking a question is, I'm asking a question to understand what's going on. But I'm not asking a question to the Yesod of Klal Yisrael, of Emunah. I'm not coming to ask a question, is that true or not? I want to understand how it's true. But if you're coming to ask the question, if it's true, that's really something you're not allowed to ask. Because then you have a suffix. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. That type of emunah only could come if the questions that we ask are only why it is, how it's true. But the questions are going to be to prove that it is true, that's something we don't do. That's all.
I was always told growing up that one of the main differences between Christianity and Judaism is Christianity has blind faith. This sounds to me like blind
It's not blind faith.
How is it different?
It's not. You can check into it. You can look into it if you want. Chazal explain it. Some things are questions. It's not blind faith. That's what I'm saying. You're allowed to ask questions. You could check into it. But if the only reason why someone believes is because he has answers to his questions, he's not going to end up being a maimon all his life. If you look at the people who came through the Milchama, the people who came through the Holocaust, those questions, the ones who stayed Shomerei Shabbos, the ones who stayed with their emunah of Hashem, they weren't intellectual people, not dafka, that understood everything and answered all the questions. The ones that came out, I remember my grandparents, they were not the greatest intellectuals, they didn't study, they were pasha to yidden, people who believed in Hashem no matter what happens. That's what we're saying over here. We're not saying it's blind faith. We're saying is the questions are not if Hashem exists. The question is how we see Hashem in our daily life. He's there. We're trying to find Him. But if you have a question, it doesn't mean He's not there. Because there's no way we'll understand everything. And we'll prove this more. This was all until Matan Torah. This Amunah, believing in Hashem, is not a Jewish faith. The Goyim also have Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. They also have to believe in Hashem. One of the mitzvahs are they have to believe in Hashem.
Well, they can't serve idols.
What?
They have an Isser of Vodah Zorah. Where do you see have a mitzvah essay of Amunah?
No, Vodah Zorah. It means somebody.
You're not allowed to believe in Vodah Zorah. Can a Goy be an atheist?
A Goy, that's okay. Yeah.
It's another share.
Yeah. It could be an atheist. Okay, it could be an atheist. But you can't believe there's another Kohen beside Hashem. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. It comes time to Matan Torah. What happened at Matan Torah? By Matan Torah, Hashem gave us the Torah. It wasn't just that Hashem said, here is a book, a sefer, the Torah, and now live according to the Torah. Much more happened b'shas Matan Torah, during Matan Torah, than just Hashem gave us the Torah. A lot more happened. What happened? First of all, we look in the Psukim. The Pasuk says, when you have to remember Matan Torah, it says, Rak yishom lecha shma nafshcha miyoid, pen tishchach as tadvarim asher ro'u einecha, upen yisurim levatecha koyim echayecha, yom asher amadta lefnei Hashem elokecha b'har chorev. What do you have to remember? The day you stood in front of Hashem, b'har chorev is Har Sinai. It doesn't say one word that Hashem gave us the Torah. It says you have to remember what happened at Har Sinai. Why did your eyes see in Har Sinai? It says the Pasuk, right after Matan Torah, it says, V'chol ha'am royim es ha'koylef es ha'lapidim. Klal Yisrael saw the sounds. Do we understand that? Is that something that's comprehensible? To see sound? It's something that's not comprehensible. How does a person see sound? But that happened by Matan Torah. Hashem took Klal Yisrael and showed them things that we cannot understand with our physical brains. Way above our brain, it's impossible to understand. But we know it's true. How do we know it's true? It says in the Torah. They saw as halakhilas. They saw the khailas. The Sfarim write that b'shas Matan Torah, the skies opened up, the Shiva Rekim opened up, and Klal Yisrael saw things. They saw Hashem, whatever that means. Klal Yisrael saw things in b'shas Matan Torah that was way, way above our intellect. Today, there's no way we can understand it. Why did that happen? Why did Hashem do that for b'shas Matan Torah? Klal Yisrael was in Mitzrayim for 210 years. After Mitzrayim, they went ahead and they went to Kabbalah Torah. Now we see the Mefarshim explained already. See, it's Mitzrayim, Matan Torah, they're together. Why was Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim for 210 years? So I once heard from Yaakov Hillel, and he said that what happened in Matan Torah? Klal Yisrael became avodim. We became servants to Hashem. And Hashem gave us the Torah, and now we have to serve Hashem through the Torah. If you come to a person who's free all his life, and you try to take him and make him an eved, and make him work for you, he's to be subservient to you, it's impossible. Because he's a free man his whole life. Hashem made Klal Yisrael go through Mitzrayim for so many years, that Klal Yisrael should understand what it means to be an eved, what it means to be a servant to somebody. Now that you understand what a servant is, now you can go ahead and become a servant to Hashem. What is a servant? What does an eved mean? Chasam Sofer says, we say in Hallel, Ani avdecha ben amasecha, pitachto l'meiseroi. I am a servant, the son of your maidservant. You can open up l'meiseroi, my chains. What does that mean? Says the Chasam Sofer, a person who sells himself for a slave. He was free his whole life, and now he becomes a slave. Such a person, you can never trust him. One day he's going to run away. He knows what freedom is all about. But we say, Ani avdecha ben amasecha. I am a servant, the son of your maidservant. Meaning I was born into this world as an eved. I was born as somebody that doesn't know anything else. Someone who's born from a maidservant, that his mother was already an eved, a shivka, he's born into such a society, he doesn't know anything else, that person, you can open up his chains. Why? He's not running away. He doesn't know anything different. Hashem wanted to make sure that we get the Torah, we know what it means to be an Eved. We know what it means to be subservient to somebody else. Only in that way are we able to accept the Torah. So Yitzis Mitzrayim, we came out of Mitzrayim, Hashem took us as slaves to Himself. What does that mean? That right now we're going to be subservient to Hashem. We're leaving Mitzrayim. We know what it means to be subservient to somebody else. And that could only happen if we were servants the whole time. And then Hashem gave us the Torah. What's the Torah? The Torah is something that's not like any other chachma, any other chachmas hagoyim, whatever it is, science, whatever chachmas you want to speak about. The Torah is something else. The Torah that was given to Klal Yisrael was way, way above our intellect. Hashem, when He went ahead and He opened up Shemayim v'Aretz, b'shas matan Torah, what was He showing us? I'm giving you the Torah, but you should know. The Torah is very, very hard to understand. It's very deep. There's certain things you're not going to understand in the Torah. But you should know, the same way I'm showing you now, b'shas Mount Sinai, that there's certain things that you can see that you never understood beforehand, and no one after you will be able to understand it. Kol Yisrael, who saw it? Only the Yidden who came out of Mitzrayim, who by Mount Torah. Beforehand, it never happened. It will never happen again. Hashem was telling us, I want you to tell over from generation to generation that something happened at Mount Sinai. What happened? I did something that your brain cannot grasp. And you can tell the next generation, you know what happened at Mount Torah? We saw the koilos.
Wasn't everybody there on the Shabbos?
On the Shabbos, yeah, but the Guf wasn't there. Do you remember the Roy Koilos?
Yeah, I saw.
You remember?
I have good glasses.
Okay, so maybe you can explain it to everybody. We don't know what it means. It's given over to generation. The clients was Roy Koilos. They saw the koilos. Why did Hashem do that for? Hashem did it to show us that the Torah is not an intellectual thing, just an intellectual thing. The Torah is a ruchniistic thing. When Klal Yisrael got the Torah, we've transformed from gashmiistic people, from people who are physical. Hashem transformed us to be ruchniistic people. Ruchniistic people means that when someone goes ahead and puts on tefillin in the morning, what's happening? When you put on tefillin in the morning, there's something happening in Shemayim that every mitzvah we do, and we believe this, every single mitzvah we do, something happens in Shemayim. Things change, and that's why we do our mitzvahs. Chas v'shalom, the opposite, the same thing. If someone's not going to put on tefillin one day, chas v'shalom, we know that terrible things happen in Shemayim because of it. Can we explain that? Can you go ahead and prove it to somebody? Impossible. It's impossible to prove to anybody that our mitzvahs that we're doing has an effect in Shemayim, and such a big effect that we don't even understand the effect that happens. We can't even explain the effect of every mitzvah that happens in Shemayim. Can we prove that to anybody? There's no way we can prove it. So why do we believe it? Why does anybody believe that if you're going to go ahead and speak out in the middle of Kaddish, terrible things happen in Shemayim? What do we believe it for? Someone proved it to us? No one proved it to us. You know why we believe it? Because our parents and our grandparents, for all the generations, have been telling us that every mitzvah we do, and every avera we do, things happen in Shemayim. That's what happened in B'shas Matan Torah. Hashem showed us that Torah is much more than just an intellectual thing. The Rishonim write already that a person doesn't have the correct emunah b'Hashem. He's not trying to deny it. He wants to believe it. But he's going his whole life, he believes that Hashem is in the world, but it's hard for him to bring it into his daily life, that everything that happens to him on a daily basis is all because of Hashem. How does a person get himself to believe? Like Moshe Feinstein said, if you go ahead and cheat somebody in business, so a lot of us, most of us, I hope, don't cheat in business. Why not? Because it's not the proper thing to do. That's very good. But there's another reason why we don't. Because if we do it, terrible things happen in Shemayim. Hashem doesn't want us to do that. How many of us are not doing things like that because of Hashem? Most of us are doing it because that's the right thing to do. How do we get into our system to believe that everything we do is affecting things in Shemayim, and that's our whole life? Our whole existence is, we're put on this world for one thing, we're avodah for Hashem, to go according to the Torah. How do we get into our system to believe that everything we do is like that? We're all maminim, we all believe in Hashem, but we all have this problem that in our daily lives, we don't do it. When someone has an urge to speak in Milah Davening, in Milah Kaddish, the main thing is, somebody looking, someone get upset, if speaking in Milah Kaddish, you know what affects up there? And most of us don't look at it that way. So the Rivosh writes like this. The Rivosh was a Rishon. And the Rivosh writes that he happens to be speaking about, trying to prove that Hashem exists. And he says those who go into Chachmas and trying to prove Hashem exists, he says that it's the wrong thing to do. We believe Hashem exists because that's how it's given down from generation to generation. And then he writes, V'im tireh, you see, she'oisem b'nei adam, these people are asking ba'oisen ha'chachmos, that they're busy with those chachmos, meaning trying to prove the existence of Hashem. They'll tell you that's the right way to do it. Through that, you'll understand that Hashem exists. So he writes, don't listen to them. They're lying to you about the truth. Arisha, the Rivosh. You won't find somebody who's scared of Hashem, who has Yiras Shamayim, and scared of doing an Aveira. His reasons, he does it with alacrity to do the mitzvahs, v'anova and humbleness, the tahara, the kedusha, is doing it in the proper ways. Ella, b'misaskim, b'mishnah, u'b'talmud. Only the people who are busy with Mishnah and Talmud. There's a Rishon. Says the Rivosh, if you want to come to Hakaras HaBorei, you want to come to believe in Hashem, in our daily beings and everything that happens on a daily basis, says the Rivosh, you'll never get to it through other chachmas. You'll never reach the true emunah through trying to prove it and understanding it through other chachmas. The only way you'll get to it is through learning Mishnah and Torah. I once heard from the Novominsker Rebbe Shlita, Eishes Chayil Miyimtza is a Mishlei. The Pashup Pshat of Eishes Chayil is going on a wife, but the Mefarshim say that Eishes Chayil is going on the Torah. The whole Eishes Chayil was written about the Torah. And it says in Eishes Chayil, because Rabbis Barnois Otsu Chayil, Viat Alis Al Kulana. Rabbis Barnois, a lot of the kids, Otsu Chayil, they made an army, they accomplished a lot, but Viat, you went up Al Kulana on all of them. What does that mean? So he said, that Rabbis Barnois Otsu Chayil means that the Chachmas in the world, science, mathematics, also Chayil, they're very big and very great. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the science, a lot to the mathematics, a lot to astronomy. All the Chachmas in the world, they have big Chachamim that are busy with it. Also Chayil, yes, they do great things. And they accomplish a lot. But one thing you always have to remember is Va'at Alis Al Kulana. The Torah is above it all. Meaning, the Torah is the Makar, is the source for all Chachmas. How do we believe that? How do we know that? We don't know that because we prove the Torah was given in Sinai. All you can do is prove that Hashem gave us the Torah, and then what? If you stop there, you basically didn't start yet with the real emunah of Matan Torah that Klal Yisrael has. What do you have to believe? Va'at of this al kulon. The Chachmas HaTorah is so great that a lot of times you don't understand it, and when it comes time to a contradiction between Torah and Chachmas HaGoyim and any other type of thing, if a person for 1 second thinks that maybe there's a mistake, that's being kafir in Ma'amid Har Sinai. If someone for a second could believe that the Chachmas HaGoyim is greater than the Torah, then he may believe Torah was given in Sinai. But he doesn't believe that what happened at Ma'amid Har Sinai. He doesn't believe that Hashem was showing us at Ma'amid Har Sinai that the Torah was so great, it's way above the intellect. And if something we don't understand, it's because we do not know enough. Not because there's something wrong with it. That's what happened at Ma'amid Har Sinai. Va'at olis al kulona. You are above it all. And the only way we could get to believe this, says the Rivash, is to learning Torah. Constantly learning Torah, that's where we get to it. If someone who can't learn Torah, or he's not smart enough to learn Torah, whatever the reasons are, there's other ways of coming to this true emunah. We have something called Sefer Tehillim. Tehillim is Torah. There used to be, it's not so common anymore, something called a Tehillim Yid. What's a Tehillim Yid? A Jew who says Tehillim a whole day. He doesn't know much, but he says Tehillim a whole day. A whole day, whatever it is. Instead of learning, he goes to work, comes home, he davens, says Tehillim. What is a Tehillim Yid? A Tehillim Yid is a person who through his davening, through his Tehillim, he's connecting to Hashem. He may not be able to understand everything, but he's connecting to Hashem and he's believing in Hashem and he's believing Torah is so great. How? Through saying Tehillim. That's also a way of connecting to Hashem. The Rivash says, Mishnah v'Talmud. Person who can't do it, he says Tehillim, but through saying Tehillim, you have no idea what you're saying. But through saying Tehillim is a way of strengthening our belief in Hashem and strengthening our belief in the Torah. The Torah was an intellect way above any intellect that we have. That's what the Rivash is saying. There was I once heard a joke many years ago when I was a kid. Then in Pirkei Avos it says, I think in Perek Gimel it is, that Tekufos u'gematriyois papirois l'Torah. That's what it says. What does it mean? What it means is Tekufos u'gematriyois. Tekufos means the tekufa of the sun and the moon, the way everything works. U'gematriyois, a gematria, papirois l'Torah. That means, whatever the Mepharshim explain, it's not the main part of Torah. It's like a papyrus, it's like a dessert. But it's not the main part of the Torah. That's what the Mishnah means. So there were once two Yidden learning Pirkei Avos, and they weren't the smartest people. And they come to the Mishnah and says, Kufos, U'gematriyois, papirois l'Torah. So one guy turns to him and says, what does it mean? I don't know, what's Kufos? There's no Kufos, U'gematriyois, papirois. So I'm not sure what it means. Oh, but the anhalt from them, that means the message is, as that we have to serve God. That's what he said. That means they had no idea what's going on. But through learning Torah, through doing mitzvahs, and through saying Tehillim, is a way of connecting to the Torah, connecting to Hashem, and believing that it's an intellect way above any intellect that we can understand. So to go ahead and prove Torah in Sinai, it's a very good thing to do. But if you stop there, you miss the boat. Because you got to believe and understand that the Torah is an intellect way above every intellect, and only through learning the Torah and through whatever is saying Tehillim, whatever it is like that, we could go ahead and reach this belief in Hashem and in Matan Torah. Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. Getting back to the original question, if Rabbi Gold gives me 1 more minute. Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. What's he trying to say? Moshe Kibel Torah, that's one thing. Misinai means the only way we can believe, when we're supposed to believe in Matan Torah, is if we understand what happened at Har Sinai. Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. The way we can accept the Torah is only if we believe in that at Har Sinai what happened at Har Sinai.